Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Jay. You haven't seen me for a few days. You haven't seen much of me for the last month, and that's because I've been in India. For those who don't know, I've been on the carnivore diet for 6 months, and I lost 70 pounds. My blood work went from atrocious to very good. My cholesterol went down to normal levels after being high. Blood sugar was back to a good level. Blood pressure went back down to a normal level. And the unfortunate thing about traveling in India is it was impossible to stay on my carnivore diet. So does this mean I'm off the carnivore diet forever? Hell no. I feel so much better when I'm on the carnivore diet, and the last 4 weeks have been kind of difficult. The first week wasn't so bad, but by the second week I noticed that I was having a lot more brain fog. My nose was really congested. I thought maybe it was allergies, but I don't know. I think it may have also had something to do with inflammation. My joints ached a lot after the second week. My knees started to hurt more. My elbows, I sensed some pain, and lower back pain. By the fourth week, I was eating more meat. I was in Delhi for the fourth week. It's a bigger city and there's more options. But it wasn't a pure carnivore diet. I was still trying other food, and I was in places where there were no meat dishes, and I needed to have something, so I would have a vegetarian dish. But I came to a newfound respect for my carnivore diet, a newfound love for it, and I'm so happy to be back home where I can eat carnivore again. I loved India, don't get me wrong. It was a fascinating place and I had a great time. But I'm back. It's March 5th today, and I'm officially back on the carnivore diet. A friend of mine has stayed in my apartment for the month that I was gone, and he cooked something a couple nights ago that had some pasta in it, mostly meat. I did eat that, but today I made my commitment to be completely back on carnivore for the next 3 months. I make my commitments to carnivore in 3-month blocks. So when I first started, I made a commitment to stick with it for 3 months, and then I made a commitment to stick with it for another 3 months. So I did 6 months, and coincidentally, I left for India like a day after the 6 months were up. So I didn't make the commitment to start the third 6 months because I knew that India was going to be tough. I didn't realize how bad it would be, but I knew that I wasn't going to keep completely on carnivore. Now that I'm back, I'm making my commitment to the carnivore diet for the next 3 months. And given my experience from eating a mostly carbohydrate diet for the past month, all I can say is never again. As far as the symptoms I felt, well, first of all, I gained 7 pounds. And I actually think that that's sort of on the lower than it could have been because I was out walking a lot, exercising. I was always on the move in India. I got a lot of exercise, but in spite of that, I still gained 7 pounds in 1 month. Hopefully, now that I'm back on carnivore, that's mostly water, and I'll get rid of it in a couple weeks, but we'll see. It didn't feel good. My clothes started to feel tighter. It just felt more uncomfortable to sit in an airplane chair, for example, and I could tell that I was bigger. So what about this experience is a good takeaway for you? First of all, for me, carnivore is either an all or nothing proposition. If I don't eat strict carnivore, I end up eating a lot more carbohydrates than I intended. Carbohydrates create cravings, especially the white carbohydrates, rice, white bread, sugar. It's like a switch. It's either on or off. And if the carbohydrate switch is on, I crave carbohydrates and I'm going to end up eating a lot more carbohydrates with all the ill effects that they have on my life. I don't think everybody has this problem, carbohydrate addiction, but a lot of us do. And if you're watching this video and you're interested in the carnivore diet, you probably do as well. So if you're going to cheat like I did, it may be best to just pick a month and do it and get it out of your system. If you're like me, you'll feel crappy enough at the end of that month, you'll be ready to get back on carnivore. I sure am. Another thing is, there's no reason to do this unless you are in a place where you can't eat carnivore. Let's say you go on vacation to Thailand or, Europe somewhere Italy where it's hard to stay on a carnivore diet. Well, that's a case where you might want to say, okay, I'm going to go off carnivore for 2 weeks and I'm going to cheat a bit. But pay attention to what your body's feeling and telling you. If you're like me, you're going to start noticing a lot of negative symptoms, brain fog, aches and pains, etc., etc. And you're going to start looking forward to getting home and being on the carnivore diet again. If you're in a place in your life where you absolutely do not want to come off the carnivore diet, you've got to do some research. It might be that you're going to have to rent an Airbnb instead of a hotel room, an Airbnb where you have a kitchen and you can actually cook some food. In the middle of the month that I was in India, I moved from a room into an apartment where I had a kitchen, and I actually went out and bought a little frying pan, and I would fry myself chicken breasts. I would still eat a little bit of carby food for dinner, but I was eating my egg and cheese omelet for breakfast with a little bit of fruit because I was trying to expand my diet to compensate for the fact that I wasn't eating meat. And then I would cook a piece of chicken for lunch in butter, make a little butter sauce, used some Indian spices, and it was pretty good. So I was able to get more carnivore as time went on, and I learned where the places were to shop, and I had that kitchen. If I were to go back to India, I would definitely plan on cooking my own food. And that advice goes for other places you might travel. If you're going to, I don't know, Spain for a month, make sure you stay at an Airbnb with a kitchen. Get a frying pan if they don't have one there. And just cook meat the way you would at home. Spain has plenty of meat. You might just have to search around for it, find whatever the equivalent of a butcher is if they don't have the right meats that you like in the grocery store. Yeah, to stay on it, you'd probably need to skip meals out or find certain dishes that work for you. It's hard when you're out of your comfort zone. It's hard when you're traveling to keep to a consistent diet, whatever it is. And something as restrictive as carnivore, in my case, I decided to go off it for a month. It was a good experience because it taught me how much I appreciate the carnivore diet, and I'm not going to have any problem getting back on it. All right, I hope you found something useful in this. I'm going to try to get a little bit more into some of the details and some suggestions on how to travel carnivore going forward. It was a real experience, a lot of good information, a lot of things that I won't do again. I know how to prepare better now. I also know just how much a high carbohydrate diet disagrees with my system. A carnivore for me is the way to go. Have a great day, everybody. See you in the next video.